You're rich. You don't say it's funny.
What do we have here? Rabbi Yisai, so since we're still holding on this daf, I later on found in Simon Wolf's website an unbelievable thing I wanted to show you. They found in Beit Shan, we were discussing yesterday Beit Shan, so they found in Beit Shan the I think the world's largest mosaic. And in the mosaic, what?
They also found the Aron yesterday. They tied it.
No, here it is. There's a
They found
picture.
the Aron yesterday. Ethiopian stuff, I don't know.
Alright, no.
The Aron. They just found the Aron.
Check this out. Look at this mosaic, guys. This mosaic that they found in Beit Shan. This is the original. This is in the Museum of Israel. This is a copy that's in Beit Shan today. What it says here is, this is a mosaic, and it has very strict instructions. What are these strict instructions? It says exactly about the Meiser that we were discussing yesterday. It says exactly about the Meiser that we were discussing yesterday. Which parts of Beit Shan don't have Kedusha, where you can plant on Shvius, and where not. In this thing right over here. And to Mr. Kornbluth's question yesterday, there's a whole thing of exactly what other places in Israel you can plant, what not. Whoever wants to look at this, very interesting stuff. He had 13 pages on this in his website. You can look at his website. But Paris Halova Asurim beBeit Shan b'Shvius. But over here it's Mutter in Beit Shan. Elu Mekoymes. It gives you exact dimensions, what street, what crossings, what everything. In Beit Shan is Mutter and on Shemitah and not. And they found this. It's about 1,500 years old. We're talking about Beit Shan. We were discussing yesterday. In Beit Shan is the world's largest mosaic. It's about 13 to 1,500 years old, and it has inscribed in it the Hilchos Shemitah of Beit Shan. Because yesterday we said that Beit Shan doesn't have Kedusha, and it says some parts do have Kedusha, some parts don't have Kedusha. It's very, very exact. It's very cool. You want to see? And it's all based on Yerushalmi. It's Mamish Halachas taken out of Yerushalmi, because in those days they didn't have Bavli yet. Bavli only came about 200 years after that. So it's, and in Beit Shan they have a copy of it, but if you want to see the original is in the Museum of Israel. You can pass this down if somebody wants to take a look. Fine. I highly doubt it.
Are there any
Says the Gemara.
from Beit Shan who actually would do that?
I don't know. Next time around, we'll take a trip. We'll take a physical. We'll take a sheer trip to Beit Shan. So the Gemara. Says the Gemara. We're holding over here. V'omer Reb Chanina, 5 lines from the bottom. Ein odam noikivitz boy milamato elim kem achizim olav milamalo. A person doesn't jam his finger. He doesn't get a boo boo without Hakadosh Baruch Hu decreeing on him that he should get that injury. Shenemar ma'Hashem mitzad gever koinonu. A person's footsteps are all directed by Hakadosh Baruch Hu. V'odam ma'yovin darkoi. So I just want to say a quick story from the Medrash. There's a famous story, if you guys know it, great. Just it's kedai. It's a beautiful story. There was a person called Abba Yudon. You know the story? Sure. Of course you know the story. Yeah. He just said the whole story. Abba Yudon, Rebbe Akiva, Rebbe Elazar, Yeshua came. They used to get money from him every year. One year he lost all his money and he was very depressed. His wife said, "Why are you depressed?" He said, "Because I don't have what to give the Talmid Chacham." She said, "Listen, we have one field left. Sell half of it, give them the money." So he went and he sold half the field. Then he had no money, so he had to plow the field with his one cow that was left. So he went and plowed the half a field. While he's plowing the half a field, the cow fell into a pit and broke its leg. So he said, so Rabbi Yankel Galinsky says the story. He says, can you imagine? The guy says, all I have now is a half a field. I have one cow. The one cow that I have broke its leg. What am I going to do? So he has to go into the pit and get his cow out. How do you get a cow out of a pit? So he goes into the pit, he starts schlepping the cow, and in the pit he finds a tremendous amount of money. So when Chachamim came, and people, it says in the Medrash, from there was a saying called L'tevasi nishbara regel parasi. That was a saying that people said from that day on. L'tevasi nishbara regel parasi. A person doesn't know why things happen and why things break, but when they do, it's for, sometimes you don't know right away, sometimes you find out afterwards, but it's always for the right reason. That's how we have to live our life. We have to live our life that we know that every tzor that we have is for good. Omer Rebbe Elazar.
Cow broke a leg.
L'toivasi nishbara regel parasi. Says the Gemara, Omar Rabba. Omar Rabba Lazar. Dam nikuf. If a person gets like a little scrape in his finger and blood comes out, miratik et dam oila, then he has a kapara like a oila. Omar Rabba. No way. A person in those days had to go to the Beis Hamikdash, take a whole day off of work, bring an animal. It's very expensive. So you're going to tell me a little blood that comes out? No. So what is it? Yes. Omar Rava begudel yemin. It has to be that you stub your right big toe because that has the most power. It hits the wall or whatever it is. You get a gezumta zetz. Not only that, ubenikuf sheni. It has to be the second time around. You did it once, you got banged. Then the second time, if you have that, if it's so strong and it hurts that much, mitzvah, and you're on the way to mitzvah. I learned this Gemara and I told my son punked yesterday was showing me his toe. He got injured in football. So I said, this is it. So he said, but it wasn't L'dvar mitzvah. It was in football. I think it is L'dvar mitzvah. Why? Because without him playing football, maybe he wouldn't want to be in yeshiva. The whole football, the whole Eretz Yisrael, the whole matzah, so it's all part of the mitzvah. Fine. Same place. Vada. Don't eat. Okay. Omru Olav. So we're going back to Reb Pinchas B'Yair, who didn't want to eat from Rebbe's house. He brings up a very good point. Very good. So Shluchim Mitzvah in Nizakim, he's asking Kash, Shluchim Mitzvah in Nizakim. It says over here that he's going to L'dvar Mitzvah, so how do you get a thing? So says the Maharsha, because he was thinking about an Aveira. When you think about an Aveira, then you don't have the protection of Shluchim Mitzvah in Nizakim. He's going for a mitzvah, but he's thinking about Aveira, so then you could get Nizak, because you're thinking about Aveira. Says the Maharsha, beautifully, most oilas come for Hirur Aveira. That's what you bring oil for. The Aveira of Hirur. So that fits right in here. This is Reb Pinchas B'Yair that we said that didn't want to eat in Rebbe's house. He never washed his hands on bread that wasn't his. And from the day he became bar mitzvah, he didn't take from his father, unlike in our generation where people are 90 years old, are still taking from their parents. Omer Reb Zeir, Omer Shmuel. What about the wife? Okay. Says the Gemara. Now on Daf Ches Amud Aleph. Omer Reb Zeir, Omer Shmuel. Today's daf is completely about the knives of shchita. We're going to learn many halachas. We're going to go through Shas, all different halachas, up and down, and many different beautiful things. Omer Reb Zeir, Omer Shmuel. Libein sakin v'shochad ba. A person takes a knife and he makes it white hot. Says Rashi that in the lashon of Gemara you say white hot, but the way people talk is red hot. Even in those days it was red hot, even though the knife becomes white hot, and that's liben sakin v'shachaba. So now what's the question? The problem is, how am I shechting? Is it from the heat of the knife that's going through the skin, or it's from the sharpness of the blade? What created the shechita? Says the Gemara, chiduda koidem lilibuna. The sharpness goes in first, and then the heat. Because on the if you talk about the edge of the knife, there's not that much heat on the edge of the knife. Most of the heat is on the side of the knife. The actual edge, the microscopic edge, whatever it is, that's the sharpness, and that goes in before the heat. Okay. As the Gemara, a very interesting question. The sides of the knife, let's say this, the simanim, called the kan and the vesha, the trachea and the esophagus. You don't need pictures. Everyone knows esophagus, the windpipe and the food pipe. If they have even a small little puncture like the size of a needle, it's called a treif. Now, ask the Gemara, if you go in slow motion and you're going through the esophagus, right? You can't do it in a millisecond. It takes a millisecond to get through half and then another half, let's say. By the time I get to the halfway point, the sides of the knife are burning the sides of the esophagus.
It's already cut.
Now.
So you have droid, it's not.
Pick up the microphone.
Pick up the Gemara.
We made it so many days without it.
Could be.
Yeah. Okay.
That's difficulty.
Sorry.
I feel like you'll be electrocuted over there.
We're talking about fanatic.
Yeah. And of Nokivitz boy, Milamalo, Elam Kane. This is not my etzba. This is my Gemara. This is a lot more valuable than my etzba. By the way, you want to hurt me? Spill. The next thing you want to do, spill coffee in my Gemara. Okay, fine. Zog the Gemara. Where are we holding? Don't worry about it. Hi. Thank you, Binyamin. I'll tell you later what that means. Says the Gemara. What? So now the sides, what happens? The side is getting hot by the knife, and it damages the esophagus. It makes the esophagus a treifa. Says the Gemara, Beis Hashchita Mirvach Rova. It goes like this. Let's say this is the Beis Hashchita. This one, okay. This is the Beis Hashchita, and I put the knife through. What happens is it spreads away from the knife. The knife never gets a chance to touch the sides. As I'm cutting, you could do it like if you have a pipe and you start cutting. I don't know what a good example is, but in my mind, there's certain things. You start cutting, you start splitting before you even get to the cut. Not peeling.
Tablecloth.
Exactly, tablecloth. You take a scissors and the tablecloth, it starts ripping it like before you get a chance to get to the side of the tablecloth. The knife and the esophagus. Yeah. Fine. Says the Gemara, Iboilu. Li bein shapod v'hikeboy. You take a, how do you say shapod in English? A skewer, very good. Take a skewer, right? Here's a skewer. You take this and you heat it up and you hit somebody with it. What happens first? Now, we're going to be discussing in Saras, there's a few different types of Saras. Seisa, Pachas, Beheres, we're not going to be talking about those. Today we're talking about Shchin and Michva. Shchin is an inflammation from a wound, and Michva is a burn. Okay? So if somebody has a burn, he has a boil, and on that boil he gets saras, he gets a discoloration of the skin, or if he got hit by something and that caused him inflammation, there's a certain amount of heat, not as hot as something that comes off a fire, but a certain amount of heat, and that causes inflammation. And on that inflammation, there was saras. So they have identical halachas. Shchin and Michva are identical. Fine. Says the Gemara, so what happens if I take this skewer, I heat it up, and I hit somebody with it? Is it an inflammation? What comes first, the inflammation or the burn?
Maybe what comes first?
I went like this. I gave him a zetz. I heated it up. It's hot and it's a piece of metal. So what came first?
Blood fluorescent trauma, but it was with something hot.
Oh, coming from outside the guy. Exactly. What is it called? What? Blood force trauma. Blunt. Thank you. Blunt force trauma
With the burn.
with heat. What comes first? What did the body get first? And what's the nafkamina? You say burn.
The inflammation is secondary. It's the burn that causes the inflammation.
You would feel the blunt force first. What would you feel first? The blunt first you feel first, and then only like 7 seconds later, oh my gosh, it burns. It takes a few seconds for the body to feel that heat, I think.
We're talking about
What?
blunt force isn't heat. By the way, there's a difference between blunt force and heat. Blunt force is just impact.
Right. But it's simultaneously. What if you heat something up? What if you have a hammer that's red hot?
The inflammation is the consequence of the heat.
The test is if it wasn't hot, and you hit it with a cold version of this instrument, would you be injured or not? The answer is
He'd
you
be
would
injured, but he wouldn't want there to be no inflammatory reaction.
Why not? From
From
a hammer, you don't get any inflammatory.
You do, and it's more delayed. The inflammatory reaction occurs as a result of the release of cytokines and chemicals and
Hold on.
Keep
Keep on going, Doc.
This is great.
All right.
We have experts here. Anything you want to know, there's somebody here who knows it. I'm like, this is great.
Okay. Besides Gemara, says the Gemara.
Hey, you're the one who said that. Nobody else said that.
I'm including myself in that one. Okay. Says the Gemara. Where am I? Ooh, I'm in the wrong Daf Yomi. How did that happen?
See what happens when you add the
Yeah.
That's a problem. You gotta-
L'may nafkimino. So what came first, the inflammatory or the bird? The inflammation or the bird? What's the difference? Lamai said they have the same halacha that they only could be metame for 1 week. If they remain the same size, and the kohen checks it out, and he sees that it remained the same size, he doesn't give him another week. Whereas the Beher Sapachas and the Se'ei, if it remains the same size, the kohen says, let me check you out in a week from now. Come back in a week. So it's different. So over here, they have the same halacha. And they have the same halacha, b'shnei simonim, they have 2 signs. B'seir lovim, first, you check it out with a white hair, or if it grows, if it spreads. So here, I don't know if you can read this anymore. We'll still do it. Yeah. If you look over here, in Pasuk Yud Ches, it talks about shchin, the inflammation. In Pasuk Chav Dal, then it says a bunch of halachas, a bunch of psukim, just talking about shchin. Then in Pasuk Chav Dal, it goes on to talk about michvas eish. And then a bunch of psukim afterwards. The question is, why don't you just say in Pasuk Yud Ches, shchin and michvas eish? They have the identical halachas. 1 week and 2 simanim. What's the answer? There must be a difference. Says the Gemara, to tell us a side that they cannot combine together. So, right? So as we don't really need this for this part of the Gemara, but if you have a piece of shchin and a piece of the size is a gris, right? The gris is the size of a piece of skin that 36 hairs could grow in it. I just looked it up. In a square inch, a human body could grow 2,200 hairs. So 36 is what? A 60th of that, whatever, I don't know what the math is. So this is much, much larger than real life, but let's say half of your tsaras is shchin and half of it is michvah, they do not combine. And we're going to see in a second how does that work. Laka eze shchin ve'eze michvah. What's the difference between them? Laka be'etz, if you have like a warm piece of wood, be'even, be'gefes, be'chamitverio, waters of Tver that are warm, and all stuff that doesn't come because of fire, la'asui avar mikoroi, including, what is it? Choldavar? Choldavar is, what do you say? Lead that comes right out of the mine. Zeu shchin, all these are in the category of shchin. Ve'ezu michva, what's considered a burn? Michva v'gecheles, with coal, beremet, besid reteach, begifsis reteach, ubechol davar haba machmasor. Anything that comes from a fire, what is bechol davar? La'isui chamayur, even boiling water. Fine. Zuhi michva. This is considered a burn. Vitanya. Boiling water. By the way, anybody that has an urn should be very careful, because when I was a little kid, I climbed on the counter, poured the urn on myself, 2 weeks in the hospital. Yeah. And then my first job, actually, my first entrepreneur job, I opened up a Hagalas Kalim business across the street from Chaim Berlin, and I bought these long gloves, and I bought a big pot, and I had a storefront, and people came and gave me the kalim, and I was doing well until one day I tried to get a kli from the bottom of the pot, and the water went into my glove, and burned my hand on the spot. It was like cooking in the glove. I don't know, a lot of, I don't know what it is. I don't remember. Anyways, Chami Ur is like fire. Zui Michva. Vitanyo. Shchinu Michva. Im shchin koidim lemichva, bitel michva es shechin. So it goes like this. If you have a shchin, what does the Gemara say? Shchin or michva? This is shchin, right? Blue shchin. And then comes the red on top of it. So first you had a blunt force. And then you have a burn. So now we view it as burn. We don't care about what's underneath. This makes no difference to us. Okay. Whatever comes last is what counts now. We look at whatever comes last. V'hacha echidami. So says the Gemara, "Going to have a bechatzi grish chin mikara, v'libin shapur v'ikaboy." So very simple. Look what happens here. Boy say, guy has a shchin.
Well, it depends on after.
Yeah, I'm going to say in a second. Here, let's say a guy has a half a gris shchin, and then he takes a blow from a shapud, the skewer that's hot, but it's also blunt force. If we count the blunt force, and the blunt force gives him another half a gris, you have a half a gris plus a half a gris equals shchin. Okay. Now, if it's not considered blunt force, it's considered heat. So you don't have a gris. Now you have both. Says the Gemara, what happened? First he had the blue, he had the shchin. And then he took a skewer and he hit him. And from that he got another half a gris. So do we say that the blue came first, and the memela he has a full gris, and then a second later the heat happened, so the heat, whatever comes last, wins. So we view it as half heat and half blunt. They don't combine. No. Yes. If the heat goes first, and then afterwards the shchin comes, now we have a full gris.
No. Then already the heat was mevatel the first chetzi.
No, they're not touching. They're not touching. You have a half a gris on the left side, on your right side, and then you have a half a gris of heat on the right side.
So that right away is not mitzvah.
It's not mitzvah.
And the Gemara says it's mevatel.
No. This will be mevatel this. Later on, the shchin comes and is mevatel this side to create a whole thing. Let's see it inside.
So it's either way, right?
I understood it the other way, that it is touching as soon as you have...
V'libe in Shabbat v'ikaboy, u'novak b'chetzi gris acher. Mai, chavota kodim, v'osi havlo mevatel l'chavota. Now the red takes over the blue, so you have shchin u'michva v'loy mitztarfen. That's how you have to understand it. Again, you have the blue, and then you got another blue. L'chayra, he's a mitzayir right now. But a millisecond later, the heat cranks up from this skewer.
Two different places not mitzvah anyway.
No, they're in the same. They're next to each other. No, they're next to each other. They're half and half. They're touching.
Why isn't it right there, right that second, right?
Because a millisecond later, this is mevatalit. By the time he gets to the koyin, he doesn't have a gris. He has a chatzi gris. The question is, what comes first? The Gemara says, what's the nafkamina? What comes first? They both have the same halachas. They're both. You have to go. You only have 1 week. You only have the 2 simanim, whatever. What's the? Here's a beautiful difference. If shchin comes first, so then the heat comes right afterwards and it's mevatel the shchin. So now I have a blue and a red. But if the red comes first and then the shchin comes afterwards, so now I have blue plus blue, shchin plus shchin equals a gris, and the guy is a mitzayra. Big nafkamina la halacha. Maybe the heat comes first. And then a millisecond afterwards, the blunt force comes and is mevatel the heat. And then you have 2 blunt forces, 2 half a grisim that are mitzdaref to 1. Toshma. So now, why do we bring this whole thing? Because that was on the top of the page. We had the case of Reb Zera in the name of Shmuel. What if a person takes a knife and he makes it white hot, and he did shchita? Says the Gemara, why is it kosher? Because we say chiduda koydem lilibuna. First comes the blunt force, then afterwards comes the heat. So over here also we should say the blunt force comes first, and then afterwards the heat. You see that blunt force is first. Says the Gemara, no, that's not a good raya. Chidut shani. Over there we're talking about not blunt force. We're talking about the sharpness of the knife comes before heat. Over here we're talking about blunt force. It's very different than the sharpness of a knife. Tashma. What?
It's not the blunt force that kills the animal. It's the fact that
the sharpness cut through his neck.
Shoots out of the neck.
Yeah.
Never got.
If you look at Rashi, Chidut Shani, Rashi explains what I said before. The because the knife is so sharp, on this sharpness you don't have heat. V'chatichosoi, and its sharpness is koidem lehevloi. The sharpness does it first.
So you can't check with the laser.
100% not. Says the Gemara. Where am I? Toshma. Libing shapur vikaboy. If he took a skewer and he made it white hot and he hit him. Nidoy mishum michvaseish. It says that we consider him as a burn victim. Al mechavota kodim. So over here you see mefurish that the blunt force is the blunt force is first. Why? Because we view him as somebody that got burned. And whatever goes last wins. Why do we view him as somebody that got burned? Because the just disturbs a little bit. The cold is first, and then the heat comes afterwards, and that wins. Says the Gemara, Hasamnami, the Barzei Mivros, Hainu Chidud. Says the Gemara, what happened was with the skewer, he didn't hit him like this, he poked him like that. He poked him with the skewer. So if you poke somebody with the skewer, it's the sharpness again. We're talking about the sharpness of a knife. It's that's what hurt him. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Nachman, Omar Rabba. Now we're going to go into 3 types of knives. The Gemara is first going to discuss a knife that's owned by Avodah Zarah, that Avodah Zarah is done to it. Then a knife of a goy, and then a knife of a treifa. What is the halacha of all these 3 knives? Says the Gemara, the first one. Omar Rav Nachman, Omar Rabba Baravua, Sakin Shel Avodah Zarah. Mutter lishchad ba. Tremendous chiddush. You have a knife of Avodah Zarah that's also bahana. I'm allowed to shecht an animal with it. Why? What could be the svar in such a thing? That's right. Says the Gemara, but you're not allowed to cut up the meat afterwards. Why? Mutter lishchad ba. Why mekalkalu? Because killing an animal is a mekalkal. Why is it mekalkal? Because with an animal you can do 3 things. You could have offspring. You can use it to plow your field, or you can use it to eat the meat. Every animal you can eat the meat, but there's some animals you can only eat the meat. You can't do anything else. So the worst thing, we're talking about mekalkal. Why is shechita considered mekalkal?
Oh, this whole thing is Shabbos now?
No. We're talking about Avodah Zarah. Isser hana. If I take a knife, and I kill an animal with a knife, I just ruined something. Because before I had a plowing machine or a baby thing, and now I have, but I had steaks. If every animal has steaks, the plowing machine also is going to have steaks in a year from now. First, let me use it as a plowing machine, and then I'll have the steaks later. Now, what I didn't understand so much is that at the end of the day, it saved me 5 minutes from going down the block and getting my shechita knife. So it gave me hana. So what if at the end of the day? So Taisus says a very nice thing all the way at the end. He says, "Kivan shilkukuli yoser al tikunoi." There is a tikkun, but I'm ruining more than I'm misaken. Fine.
You're losing more than you're gaining.
I'm not using it. It's not enough. It's not enough.
Even though it's being machshel the animal about shechita.
What?
Even though it's being machshel the animal about
Machshel? Oh yeah, but
So he's doing a tikkun.
I'm doing a tikkun, but it's a overall kilkul because I just took something that's worth $10,000, $1,000, and I made it worth nothing. Says the Gemara. But I'm not allowed to fix something with the Avodah Zarah knife, which is cutting up the meat. Omar Rava. However, sometimes you're not allowed to shecht an animal with this knife. Why? If the animal has no other thing, you can't plow with it. It can't have babies. It's dying, and also the fact is that in 2 seconds it's going to die. If you don't grab this knife, it's going to die without you being able to eat. So you just achieved hana from this knife, and that would be asur. And sometimes cutting up an animal is mutur, mechatach mutur, ba'atmi dekaim kurbana. Sometimes you have a piece of meat that's beautiful and large, and you want to give it as a present, and if you cut it down, you're ruining it. There's an example, like let's say a birthday cake. If you cut up a birthday cake, it's worth a lot less than a beautiful cake. I can't think of anything else right now. But something that if you cut is worth less than when it's whole.
The diamond
Fine.
is not that case because the diamond would be
Dam?
diamond.
Diamond, yeah.
When you cut it becomes more beautiful.
No, but if you cut a two carat into 1 carat,
Yeah, but
but 3 carats is worth a lot more than 2
I'm
threes.
saying a little bit. It's the,
Okay, that's something else.
is-
Ask the Gemara, this knife of Avodah Zarah as full of bad fat on it that will be absorbed by the animal. Says the Gemara Bechadash, we're talking about a knife of Avodah Zarah that's brand new. Never been used. Ask the Gemara, Bein le Rabbi Yishmael, Bein le Rabbi Akiva, there's a big machlekes over there when exactly the Avodah Zarah goes into effect. When you decide that's Avodah Zarah after you use it, but everybody agrees, Misham Avodah Zarah, the knife of Avodah Zarah, not the actual Avodah Zarah, Misham Avodah Zarah, and assume that Shiyavdu. At the end of the day, you have to do Avodah Zarah with it. And if it's brand new in the box, you didn't do Avodah Zarah, it has no halacha of Avodah Zarah. Says the Gemara, no. At the end of the day, it was Avodah Zarah. Why? Because you cut up wood with it, but not animals. So B'nogeh to animals is brand new. He did a super kashrus on it. You machshir it, but at the end of the day, it's Avodah Zarah. He put it in the fire and he made it kosher. Itmar. Now we're going to halacha number 2. What about a regular goyish knife? Are you allowed to shecht with it or not? So now, what's the problem with it? Again, it has fat on the surface of the knife, says Rashi. Rav Omar Koilef v'Rabba Barav Chana Omar Midiach. So you went ahead, and at the end of the sugi, you're going to see that it's not lechat. What happened was you're not supposed to shecht with it, but you went and shechted with it anyways. So does the animal? The animal is hot, and we learned some of these halachas of yatzei ledis from shchita.
What's the difference between the other sugi now?
Well, what?
What's the difference between this?
No, that's Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah means he mamish shechted an animal for Avodah Zarah. This is a guy, a treifa knife, a guy even in a Chiloni house, let's say. Doesn't matter. It's a guy, a knife that has not Avodah Zarah, a knife that has treif on it. It has bad fats on it. Now what happens is when you do shchita, the fat on the knife is going to be absorbed by the animal. Says the machlokes here. What do? Either you just cut off the place that the knife touched, you just scrape off a little bit. It didn't go very deep. It went into that surface, cut off the surface, or just wash it off very well because it didn't get absorbed in the animal. What could be the machlokes? One of 3 things. Either the machlokes is whether or not the heat is the machlokes if it's hot enough. Or maybe it's too cold, because we said, that's why I said, Ehrenfeld will tell you, there's a lot of heat that comes out of the animal. He brought me there a few times. Mamish steam comes out of the animal. It's unbelievable to watch. You shut it out, steam comes out. It's hot, but not hot of yatzei lead. It's not going to burn your hand, but the steam is that heat enough to create an absorption into the animal. That could be one shaila. Or the Gemara is going to say, maybe everybody agrees it's cold, or maybe everybody agrees it's hot, and as far as in all 3 ways. So let's see what inside. Oh, that's one svar over there. Not friction, the Gemara calls it something else. Says the Gemara. One way to view the machlokes, whether or not you have to cut it out or just wash it off. The Marasor Beis Hashchita Tzoinin, he holds it's cold, not literally cold, because you can feel that it's not cold, but it's not yatzei ledes, and that's not enough to absorb. And the other man holds it's boiling, it's enough hot to absorb. Says Gemara Loi, maybe the machlokes is a little different. The Chulin listen, it's very hot, and everybody will agree that it's hot enough to absorb. Now it makes a lot of sense that you would have to peel it back. So what's the other svar that you just have to wash it off? I did the 3D simonim. I love this lashon. The simonim are very busy now. What are they busy with? They're busy spitting out their own blood. If something is shooting out something, it doesn't have the power to absorb. They're opposite effects. It's going this way, it's a one-way street. It's pumping blood out. It doesn't have the time. It's too busy, says the Gemara, to take treif in. Whatever you want to call it, Kabbalah or not. Says the Gemara, Umando, now a third way to view the machlokes is the Kuliyama Beis Hashchita Tzoinin. No, it's too cold to absorb. Mandom Mediach Shaper. So now that makes a lot of sense. The Mandom that says all you have to do is wash it. Mandom Koilef Agav Duch the Sakina. This is what you're saying, that the knife, the pressure of the knife pushes it into the body. Now, it's kedai to see Rashi here. Duch the Sakina. Says Rashi, since we don't know what the halach is, and we're talking about an Issa D'Oraisa, not just the Chumrah. This is Mamish Issa D'Oraisa of fat going into an animal. Abdin and L'Chumrah, we have to go L'Chumrah, the Kaimel Mishal Torah, Halacha Achar Machmer. So Rashi Paskins, in our Sugya, you have to go L'Chumrah. We call Makoim, L'Chatchila L'Yishchoit, D'Ha HaShoichet Ka'amar. So says Rashi, even though we have a way out of it, of peeling it back, and that's the halacha, we have to peel it, but you're not allowed to go and say, oh, I'm going to shech this animal with a non-kosher knife, and then I'll peel it. That you're not allowed to do. Zok Rashi, Zok the Gemara. We only have a few minutes. Let's go. Sakin treifa. Now the third halacha. What happens if you have a sakin that shechted a treif animal? It was a kosher animal. We thought it's kosher. You open up the body, you find that it had a hole right through its heart. It's treif. Very interesting. That's why I wanted to ask you, Moshe. Every knife that they shech, they wash in between shchitas, every single time. So this is the halacha. It comes from here. You have to be careful because the knife could become treifa between animal and animal because they only find out that it's treif 10 minutes later when they open up the body. Meanwhile, he's shechting more animals. So therefore, la halacha, and that's passing over here. You have to wash the knife down. Sakin treifa pligi boravachim v'chadoma v'chamin v'chadoma v'tzoyin. How do you wash it down? With hot water or with cold water? Machlokes. V'hilchasa afilu b'tzoyin. Now, we have to see Rashi here. Very important Rashi. It's only by us in our sugin, in the third case of treifa, we're using a kosher knife that's good enough to use cold water. Because nothing happened. It's very hard for the knife to absorb. Says Rashi, unbelievable nafkamina. The case before, when we were talking about the guy, says Rashi, when I'm coming with a treif knife from a guy, then the knife is treif. The question is whether or not it gives off to the meat. Going this way, it will go even if you wash the knife off in a sink. But in the case of treifa, where the knife is a kosher knife, the knife itself is kosher. You're asking whether or not the animal is if the knife is gonna absorb from the animal, not vice versa. The knife is a strong thing. It's a very starker thing. So just a little water will get rid of all that absorption.
That says it's roteach inside, it's not enough.
Exactly. Roteach inside the animal absorbs to the animal, but not to let the knife absorb. Big nafkamina, says Rashi. איזה חתיכה? לא, אבל הסכין, אנחנו שואלים על הסכין. The sakin is the sakin tray for now. Not the animal. Says the Gemara. What? It's already 8 o'clock. If the? Yeah. Why not? Well, that's exactly what Rashi is saying. Hot only helps for the animal which its meat is soft, so hot meat absorbs. But a cold, strong piece of metal doesn't absorb just because that animal is hot. So we're talking about a kosher knife going into a treifa, it doesn't absorb the treifa. And the case right before was a treif knife going into a kosher animal, the animal will absorb, take from the knife out, but the knife won't go in. Let's go weiter. Says the Gemara, now Tosfos brings the famous Gemara in Avodah Zarah, the last half of Avodah Zarah, that you have to stab the knife in the ground a few times. That's talking about something else. That's fine. Says the Gemara, V'yiga blisa, the frasa, if you have a piece of beged that has mechuspas, it's not a smooth cloth, it has it's jaggedy. What is it?
Sandpaper. Like
sandpaper, so that you can use that to. You don't have to clean it, then you don't have to wash it off. Ask the Gemara question, how come you say you have to use hot water? Because it's gonna absorb the fats that are asur. As the Gemara, every single time that you shecht an animal, you're shechting before you get to the end of the shechita, you're touching the blood from a live animal and it should be absorbed by the animal. And Rashi says this doesn't apply, this question doesn't apply to the blood, this applies to I said blood by mistake. I meant the Eiver min achai. And blood doesn't it's not a problem, says Rashi. Eimas bala, says the Gemara. The answer is, when could it absorb? L'chi chayma. You need the heat of the animal. Eimas kol chayma. When does it become hot? L'chi gomra shchita. That only happens after the shchita occurs. Aishata teirahava. I guess we're going to have to stop here, unfortunately. We're a little bit behind. So Rabbi Isai, tonight promises to be most unforgettable Chanukah Masiba for kids. We're going to have tie-dye. We're having cotton candy. We're having a donut station, make your own donuts. We're having tarbuka. We're having pizza. We're having... and